Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the first ever episode of the Tom Talks podcast. Today's episode, we're going to go over the NFL weekend of football. Colts versus Bills, Rams versus Seahawks, Bucks versus Washington, Ravens versus Titans, Bucks versus Bears versus Saints, and Browns versus Steelers. So the first game, Colts versus Bills. I looked on Sportsbookie for the betting lines, and Bills are favored by -7. So I think the Bills are going to win, but I don't think they'll cover. The Bills are arguably the hottest football team in the NFL right now. Their offense is on fire. Josh Allen is a definite MVP candidate, and Stephon Diggs definitely belongs in the conversation for best receiver in the league right now. He's definitely top five. But the Colts are a very good football team as well. I think the Colts defense is much better than the Bills defense. And I think they can stop the Bills if they have the right game plan, obviously. But I just think the Bills are too hot. I think they're rolling. I think they're going to win. But it's going to be a very, very close game. I'm going to say the score will be, I'm going to say 24-21 Buffalo. It's going to be very close. And then the next game after that is the LA Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. For me, this game is even tougher to pick because obviously they're rivals and rivalry games can go either way. The betting has the Seahawks favored by 3.5. I don't even know if they'll cover that. Russell Wilson was looking really hot in the beginning of the year. Like the first couple months, he was definitely in the MVP conversation and he carried the team on his back. And then he struggled a little bit these month or so. I'd say he's struggling a little bit. And the Rams actually surprised me this year. I did not think they're going to be a very good team whatsoever. But their defense really stepped up, especially with Jalen Ramsey in the backfield, and Aaron Donald obviously dominates all fronts on the defensive line. So yeah, honestly, I don't know who to pick for this game. I think this is really a coin flip of the game, but Jared Goff might not play this game, so I'm gonna go with the Seahawks barely. It's gonna be a really close 1 point game. I'm gonna say Seattle, fucking 21-20 Seattle. And then the final game of tomorrow night will be the Bucks versus the Washington football team. The Bucks are favored by 8.5, according to Sportsbookie. But honestly, I don't know if they can cover. This has the upset potential. Washington can upset them, but it all really depends on how the Bucks play this game. I mean, obviously, I think they're arguably the hottest team in the NFC, other than Green Bay. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the hottest team in the NFC, but they've gone on. They had some slumps during the year, even though they've been hot. They had some slumps, and and their offensive line isn't the best, which is kind of concerning. Even though they've played great, if they just run the football with Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette, LaShawn McCoy, run the football and limit the pass rush of the Washington team because that pass rush can get to them. That is a scary defensive line. Even though we don't know the quarterback situation, Alex Smith is reportedly, I don't know if he's out or he's strained. He still has that calf strain, so I don't know if he's going to play. I would take the Bucks, but I don't think they're going to cover. But I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I'm going to say the Bucks 24 and the Washington, I'm going to say 17. It's going to be a lot closer than people think. And now the next game is the first game on Sunday is the Ravens versus the Titans. And honestly, I'm shocked that the Ravens are favored, even though they're another hot team. They're arguably the second hottest team in the NFL, behind the Buffalo Bills. Lamar Jackson seems to have come back to life, playing in that MVP form that we saw last year. But the Titans are not a team to fuck around with. I think the Titans will win this game, and this is technically an upset. This game could go either way. The Ravens are favored by 3.5. I think the Titans win this game just outright. And honestly, I think it's gonna be a high. This is gonna be the high scoring game of the weekend. I think the Titans will win. It's gonna be 38-35. because Titans defense is not that great. Even though the Ravens defense is a lot better, I think they'll still give up points. Derrick Henry will still have a monster day. He'll run for another 200 yards. Derrick Henry's a guy who'll do whatever the hell he wants, so he's hard to stop. And yeah, I just think the Titans are going to beat him. Titans 38, Ravens 35. The next game is not going to be that hard to pick. Saints, Bears. Saints are favored by 10, which is a lot. But even though the Bears have played a lot better since Mr. Trubisky came back in the starting lineup, they was averaging about 30 points a game. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they've scored a lot more ever since Trubisky came back in the lineup. So, but the Saints, I think honestly, I think the Saints crush them. This would be the one game that I would see a major blowout. So I'm gonna say the Saints 34 and the Bears 10. Saints defense is also very good as well, which is honestly that's shocking to me that their defense is that good. But yeah, Saints 34, Bears 10. And the last game, Steelers versus Browns. The Steelers are favored by 6.5. And honestly, at first, I had the Browns winning. But Kevin Stefanski got hit with the COVID-19. He's not going to be in the game calling. He's going to be scripted the first probably 15 plays of the game. But after that, it's kind of loose sailing. They said their offensive coordinator is going to be calling the game. And I had the Browns here as my upset, but after that, after the Browns barely beating the Steelers with backups in, with mostly backups, and the Steelers just playing well. Even though they lost that game, they still played rather well. Even though Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt can carry this team to a win, I just think the Steelers are going to beat them. Score, I don't think. I think they'll barely cover, but it's going to be a lot closer than people. I'm going to say the Steelers 27, Browns 20. So that's it for the playoffs. Now, what I want to talk about is the six teams who do not have a head coach right now: the Jacksonville Jaguars, the LA Chargers, the New York Jets, Houston Texans, Atlanta Falcons, and Detroit Lions. If I were a head coaching candidate, where would I want to go between these six teams? So I'm going to start at the bottom. Six is the Lions. That is a horrible, god awful franchise. I do not feel sorry for them. They have been terribly run for years. If I'm a head coach, I would not want to go there. It's tough establishing a culture, especially when you have a new coach every 3 years or so. So it's going to be tough for them to get a candidate in there. With the old Matt Stafford, you might as well trade him and blow up the whole roster once again. Get as many draft picks as you can. And yeah, Detroit, they are constantly rebuilding all the time. So I would not want to take that Lions job. The number five team, which is in a much better state, would be the Atlanta Falcons, in my opinion. Falcons have Matt Ryan. They owe Matt Ryan $90 million in guaranteed money, which is a lot of money to owe a quarterback who's aging. Even though he won the MVP about 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, with Kyle Shanahan, I could see the 49ers trying to trade for him, but I don't know with the money though. I don't think they'll take that contract. I don't know what the contract situation is after that, but Arthur Blank did say that Julio Jones and Matt Ryan were available for trade. So if a new coach were to come in, I think that they would try to start over as well and just blow the whole franchise up, get more draft picks, start from scratch in rebuilding mode. Houston Texans, I have at four. The whole Houston Texans situation is getting more interesting by the day. Deshaun Watson's not happy there. He's not happy with the owner. He's not happy with management. They hired a Patriots manager. Let me look his name. His name is Nick Caserio. Even with that hire of Nick Caserio, I don't know how they can fix the relationship with Deshaun Watson in that franchise. There are rumors of him wanting to go somewhere else. That will be actually fuck it. Let's just talk about it right now. Deshaun Watson could go one of three places, and I heard them for a bunch of different people. I would say they suggested the Patriots, Jets, or 49ers. I think those are all interesting picks for franchises for him to go to, but we'll figure that out a little bit later because I just want to get third team I have is the Jets. They have a lot of draft capital after turning away Jamal Adams. You have two firsts this year, another first next year, and a couple of second round picks. And you're going to have Justin Fields, as most people would think you're going to pick Justin Fields as their quarterback. I think that would be the best situation for them, whatever whichever coach comes in and wants to implement a new offense. I think Justin Fields would be the best quarterback for that situation. No disrespect to Sam Darnold, I just think he's done. He's not done in the NFL. I just think he's done in New York, even though he was given a shit hand from the beginning. Adam Gase is out that building. He was a bad coach for him. Kept on losing. He had mono in 2019, and yeah, he just bad situation for him. Hopefully, I hope Sam Darnold has a good career. Hope he moves on from the Jets. Number two team is the LA Chargers. The emergence of Justin Herbert made this team really popular. Anthony Lynn won them 4 games at the end of the year off. He wasn't able to save his job, which I figured during the year that wasn't going to happen. But yeah, the Chargers have a very good roster. A lot of them are young players. Herbert, I think, is 22, 21. You have Joey Bosa is there. The running back is Austin Eckler. So you have a very solid roster, very solid receivers. I think the only thing that Chargers really need is a better offensive line and better defensive backs, and possibly to the pass rusher, and then they could be a team could cause trouble. But unfortunately for them, they face Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs every twice a year, so that's gonna be tough for them, tough for any coach willing to take on that task. And the number one team, if I were a coach picking a team, would be the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have a lot going for them. Two first round picks this year. You have the number one pick. Trevor Lawrence is the clear number one option, franchise quarterback. You have a lot of cap space, $100 million, so you can sign players down there in Jacksonville. So you can get Trevor Lawrence the offensive line help, running back help, receiver help. It seems like the Jaguars need a lot, even though they have some weapons. I don't think they have enough, and they completely rebuilt their defense after trading away Jalen Ramsey, and a lot of other people just didn't want to be down there. It seems like, and that's all I have for today. This is the first episode. Let me know what you think. Comment down below, and any advice would be fantastic. Have a good night.